Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic relationships, and healing from narcissistic relationships. So let me get to say a sentence to you, and I want to know if you've ever heard it, and then we'll go from there. I'm just brutally honest. Have you ever heard that from a narcissistic person? They may even go on to say, yeah, I'm just brutally honest. I don't just blow smoke or pump you up like the other people around you. I care about you, so I tell you the truth. So that's an insult wrapped in a manipulation with a gaslight on top. But it is a frequent theme that's brought up in relationships with narcissistic people who say cruel things to you or are unnecessarily blunt or dismissive or say highly critical things to you. And then when you do push back, you are met with, oh, please, I'm just brutally honest, as though their cruel words are somehow a virtue. It gets interesting because while most of us may not appreciate someone being blunt, overly direct, or downright mean, we may be open to it if it was a two-way street. If it was the case that they could also handle whatever we dished out too, that we could be brutally honest with them. But that is not how it works in these relationships. Don't try this at home, kids. But if you were or have been brutally honest with them, don't go try it. I'm just saying if you've already done it, how did that work out for you? Not good is my guess. That you were met with rage, how dare you, more rage, silent treatments, passive aggression, overt aggression, or they may just pack it in and leave for a while or forever. That is what happened if you dared to be so-called brutally honest with them. They feel entitled to behave like that with you. The impulsivity of narcissism, coupled with the entitlement, coupled with the lack of empathy, coupled with the contempt they often have for those people who are unlucky enough to be closest to them, can mean that you are faced with this kind of abrupt and dismissive and downright cruel way of being spoken to. In fact, when this happens in families, it's not unusual for a narcissistic parent to speak in this cruel, mean, dismissive way to a child and then say, it's better to get this brutal honesty from me than from the world. And this can set up a style of communication where the parent goes so far to sort of tell or portray to the child that the parent is speaking to them like this, saying these terrible things to the child because they love them, because you can be honest and open in a family, because your parent is trying to protect you. So as a child, you don't have much of a choice but to go along with the parental rhetoric, especially when you are young. And then you slowly, because of this, can get indoctrinated into a world where being treated dismissively and being spoken to cruelly becomes normalized. And over time, this becomes a very heavy weight to have to carry. And then you may also run the risk, because of what your parent might have said to you, to conflate this style of being spoken to so nastily as being loved, because only people who love you would be this brutally honest, right? This is a favorite party line in narcissistic family systems. We're just being very honest with you because that's what families do, or that it's love. That's a crock of proverbial shit, and it has done so much harm. And sadly, the enablers will get into the act and may make excuses for your parents or other family members who speak in this way, saying, oh, it's nothing, we're family, they're just brutally honest. No, actually, it's not nothing. It is harmful. And as it accumulates, it takes a toll on a person's development of their sense of self and their identity. And it sets up a person to expect no different than brutal honesty and cruel words from the world. And again, the jagged hypocrisy is that if anyone in the family spoke to that brutally honest family member and showing them love by speaking the brutal truth, they would be eviscerated. The concept of brutal honesty and it being treated as a good thing, as someone who's just being open and honest and that you're the problem if you're not able to take it, is one of the biggest collective gaslights out there. That someone speaking their mind without offering support or safety or even just accounting for the other person's feelings somehow is a way that we build character. That's a lie. And we have to remember strength is not about getting good at taking chronic emotional punches or enduring chronic criticism. To get good at this kind of sets a person up for being more likely to endure this from other people. Now again, it's one thing if the brutal honesty is all around. Everyone's being brutally honest with each other. Then that may be the nature, for example, of an industry. It may just be people who give rough feedback all around. It's still not great. But it's not the soul-twisting hypocrisy of a narcissistic relationship with the added gaslight that somehow it's good for you to hear these things. When I hear the words brutal honesty, I cringe. I'm great with honesty, but there's no need for it to be brutal. However, relationships with narcissistic folks are a double standard laden blood sport for them. The number of children who have been harmed by this, the partners who have been harmed by this, even employees who have been harmed by this, it doesn't build character. And when this framing that brutal honesty is good, and when it's used when someone is being unnecessarily cruel, sit up and pay attention so you are clear on what you are dealing with. And if you are in the presence of a child who is experiencing this brutal honesty, and you cannot get them out of the situation, at a minimum, use your time with the child to remind them of their goodness. It may not fully address or solve the harms caused by the cruel criticisms that they are facing, but it may plant a seed of an offset, a reminder that they are good and worthy. So yeah, brutal honesty. Honesty is great, but brutal anything, probably not. Thanks again.